Hello, and welcome back to Season 2, Episode 16 of Unlimited Opinions. I'm Adam Bishop.
I am, again, Mark Bishop.
Yes, I should welcome you back, too, because we just recorded 15 minutes of this episode, only to realize that my mic wasn't picking up really anything at all. So it sounded bad, but now we're back.
I don't know if the listener would notice.
I think they would. I think they would.
Considering that it's like your podcast and you're doing most of the talking, I guess.
Yes.
Probably would be nice. Yeah, it sounded like you were stuffed in a box.
Well, I think I was being only picked up by your microphone, like distantly. And so that's why it sounded so far away, because mine wasn't picking up anything.
Yeah, it did not sound so good.
But yeah, so
I had a lot of brilliant comments.
You had a lot of weird comments. You're in a weird mood. But we are, of course, reading...
that sounded like a disparaging comment.
I'm sorry.
All right. No, you're not. I can tell by the look of you. Our viewer can see that was not... what's the word? I
Sincere? Genuine?
Yes, genuine. Genuine is the word I was looking for.
Okay. We are, of course, reading Jake Jackson's Myths and Legends, and this time we are covering Jason and the Argonauts, another one of the big epic stories of Greek mythology. I guess we should just get right into it, unless you have anything else to add.
A really weird sense of deja vu.
Yeah, it's almost like we've talked about this for 15 minutes already. But we start off with how the quest begins. So when Cretheus, king of Iolcus, died, Jason's father Aeson was in line for the throne. But his brother Peleus sought the throne for himself, killing all possible contenders for the throne and holding Aeson captive. To protect Jason, his mother Alcimede pretended that he was stillborn and carried him out of the city to the safety of the centaur Chiron. And under his care, Jason grew to be a very smart and strong man. Meanwhile, Peleus sought an oracle, and the oracle told him that he must beware the man with one sandal, and he was very wary of this prophecy ever since. The goddess Hera...
You looked at me. Why'd you look at me?
I'm so sorry. I'll keep my eyes...
I had a funny comment the last time.
You did. You want to remind us of your funny comment?
No, it wasn't that funny now. But
now that you've said it,
it's lost to the world. It's the world will never know the stupid funny comment that I made at that point. That's why you looked up. You're like rubbing it in that it's now gone.
Yeah.
No one will ever know it.
That's exactly what I intended.
All right, so the man with one shoe?
Yes, the man with one sandal. And so the goddess Hera, slighted by Peleus' lack of patronage, disguised herself as an old woman and had Jason carry her across the river Alnauros on the way to Iolcus, in which Jason lost a sandal. When Jason reached Peleus, Peleus recognized him as the man with one sandal and offered him the throne in exchange for a quest.
I guess there was a test there, like to see if he really was a decent person by...
Yeah, he said it says like he did examine him and see if he was, of good stature or something.
No, I meant carrying the old lady across the street.
Oh, that too. I was thinking Peleus kind of examined him as like, well, this dude's kind of strong and smart. Right. I don't want to deal with him.
Right, so I'm going to send him on a possible mission.
Yes,
exactly. Mission Impossible. Which
actually reminds me of Tolkien.
Why?
This is a big thing in one of Tolkien's stories, the legend of Beren and Luthien. Beren, a man, wants to marry Luthien, an elf, and so he comes to her father Thingol, and he's like, I want to marry your daughter, and he's like, okay, if you bring me Silmaril from the crown of Morgoth, and the Silmaril is like this amazing jewel, and Morgoth is the biggest evil in the world.
Huh. So it's to steal a part of his crown, then?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so it's just, an impossible task, and he fully expects him to die, but they do...
Wait a second.
What?
Am I ever going to read this? I don't know if I want you to give away
Okay, yeah, you can.
I will never read it. Go ahead and tell me the ending.
Oh my god.
Is this the Silmarillion?
Yes.
Oh.
Or it's in a standalone book over there.
No. Oh, it's like part of the Silmarillion.
Silmarillion? Yes. Mm-hmm. It's one of the first stories he actually ever wrote. But then it was incorporated into the Silmarillion as it progressed and that sort of thing.
Is that right?
Yes.
So does he get it?
Yes, he does. With the help of Luthien, they get it. But then, I forget. Oh man, this is awful. But he actually does end up dying. I think coming back to Thingol's realm with the Silmaril. I think he's eaten by a wolf. But then...
So he's not really successful.
Well, he dies, but then... I think Luthien goes to like the halls of the dead and pleads with Mondos, the god of the dead, to bring him back, and he's like the only person ever come back from the dead, and they live together another like mortal life.
Oh, it's like a zombie.
Not exactly.
Oh.
Yeah. But anyway, back to
Did he
Jason.
eat people's brains after he came back from the world of the dead?
No, he did not. But back to the story of Jason. And of course, this impossible task that he is given is to get the golden fleece from King Aeetes, who hung it on an oak tree sacred to Ares, where it was guarded by a dragon in the realm of Colchis in the Black Sea.
I guess it's a safe place to put it if you have a dragon by it. But you think, why wouldn't you put it in a cellar with the dragon? Or maybe you just can't get the dragon in there or something.
Yeah. Well, it's also, a sacred grove. People don't like to take things from sacred groves because the gods get very angry at those types of things.
Right, maybe cursed as well.
Yeah. And so Jason embraced this challenge, first asking for a boat equipped for the voyage. And so Athena inspired the shipwright Argus to make the Argo, meaning swift. And the bow was formed with the tree of Zeus's oracle, and so the ship was given the powers of speech and prophecy. Jason then assembled a crew of 50 men, including Heracles, the son of Zeus with extraordinary strength and intelligence, the brothers Peleus and Telamon, who manned the oars, Euphemus, son of Poseidon, who could run across water, Periclymenus, son of Poseidon, who could shapeshift into animals, Orpheus, the musician who beat the rhythm for the oarsmen, Philoctetes, Castor, Pollux, and the huntress Atalanta. And so we did mention when we talked about this the first time, this is really like the ancient Greek Avengers. I brought that up when we were talking about the stories of Troy, but this is very, very much like a super team.
Right, assembled super powers.
Basically, yeah.
Or like, what was it? It was Saturday morning cartoons. It was kind of like the Avengers, but it was...
the X-Men?
No.
Power Rangers?
Well, no, it is kind of like the Power Rangers. But then don't they join up to be like a big Power Ranger?
I don't know. There's like a million different Power Rangers.
Or am I thinking of...
Transformers?
Yes, maybe that's what I was thinking.
Maybe.
But I've completely lost my train of thought.
There's a Saturday morning cartoon that...
Yes, I remember what it was, but I'm trying... It was the... is it the Super Friends? The Super Friends.
Super Friends.
Yeah,
oh,
Superman,
the DC, yeah.
The DC stuff, right. Is that still a thing? Does DC still do that stuff, the Super Friends?
I'm sure they have some sort of cartoon.
And then they had the Legion of Doom, I think, as the bad guys.
I think that's... Is that not Marvel?
They had an underground lair that would, like in the swamp, would sink into the swamp.
Yeah, I've never been a DC guy.
Looked like Darth Vader's mask. And the Halls of Justice.
Yeah, the Halls of Justice,
that's where the good guys were, right?
Yes.
It's kind of like that.
Kind of, yeah, very similar. Yeah, this section on how the quest begins ends with this passage. Thus assembled, the Argonauts represented muscle, mind, and magic.
It kind of reminds me of when I would take you boys places and I would say, Bishop boys, activate!
You still say that. I don't know why you say used to.
It's so funny because you're all embarrassed by it now. When you're very young, it used to be kind of cool for a couple times. Dad, embarrassing us.
But yes, as I was saying.
So if anybody sees at least the five of us, me and the four boys, anywhere out in public, come over to us, point at us, and yell, Bishop boys, activate! But we all have to be together. Well, they have to be together. So you can do it without me, but I would really enjoy seeing it. That's why I want to be there. So I'm not really one of the Bishop boys. I think it's the four of you, the Bishop boys. All right, go ahead.
As I was saying, thus assembled, the Argonauts represented muscle, mind, and magic.
Very much like the Bishop boys.
A gathering of martial spirit and fearless defiance of fate. As the Argo set sail, the bow foaming the salted blue waters of the Aegean, their vision was closed to the horrors that awaited them. So we do have this super-powered group of people, but they're really going into an awful, awful adventure that is not good for any of them.
It did not work out well.
No. So the first stop on the journey to Colchis was the island of Lemnos, which is peopled entirely by women after Aphrodite had cursed them to stink, repelling their husbands and making them turn to other women. And so the women killed them all and were now ruled by Queen Hypsipyle. In exchange for the right to land, Hypsipyle made the Argonauts stay for a year, many of them having children with the women of the island, but the sailors eventually left after Heracles expressed his wrath at the delay. Because he was waiting on the boat the whole time. He was not happy that they were just sitting there. Yeah,
it's like they're like, you can't park your boat here unless you stay with us for a year. Okay, baby.
I think that's exactly what happened.
That's exactly what happened. They're there for a year until Heracles was like, "Hey, man, we gotta go."
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I wanted to get that thing.
Yes. So they then faced another challenge, coming to the land of King Kuzak.
They just abandoned their children, by the way.
Yeah, they do.
These little young children, and they just...
Yeah. Well, Jason had two children with the queen.
Right,
and then
quick.
They're never mentioned again in this story, at least. And so they then faced another challenge, coming to the land of King Cyzicus of the Doliones, whose land was plagued by the Gagaenes, great six-armed giants. Seeing the Argo, the Gagaenes thought it was a ship full of treasure and attacked it in an attempt to plunder it, but they were soon defeated by just a small group of warriors, and the Argo set out once more in victory.
Dun, 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 dun.
However, a storm drove the Argo back to Cyzicus, and confusing the Argonauts for Pelasgian raiders, a battle ensued, in which King Cyzicus was sadly killed by Jason. The Argo again set sail after appeasing the gods for murdering these people. In another twist of fate, Heracles snapped an oar with his strength, and the ship landed at Chios to find a replacement. And Heracles' servant Hylas wandered off to find water, but he was instead lured into a pool of the water nymphs and was never seen again. Heracles then left the crew in search of him, but he never found Hylas, and the crew lost one of their greatest warriors. Yes, thank you.
Seems kind of it's an interesting side story. He's there for a little while. He defeats those dudes that attacked them in mistake. Well, actually, he helps defeat the six-armed weirdos, and then he helps kill the people that helped him.
Yeah,
and then off he goes. I guess.
Well, we'll see more of Heracles, I'm assuming. I don't know.
Very soon.
Yes. Well, you accidentally read the section that comes after the story of Jason, which was about Heracles. So we'll see how his story kind of develops. But Jason then came to Salmodessus in Thrace to seek the counsel of the seer Phineus, who was blinded by Zeus and attacked by harpies every time he tried to eat. And so the Argonauts freed him from this torture. He then told them how to travel through the Symplegades, which were great rocks that would smash together, crushing anything that passed between them. Phineus told them to release a dove to fly between the rocks, which would cause them to smash shut and allowing them to sail through the opening when they opened. Coming to the Symplegades.
As opposed to when they closed.
Yes, as opposed to when they closed. The opening wouldn't be there when they closed. Coming to the Symplegades, the Argonauts enacted the plan, but the swelling waves stalled the Argo, forcing Athena to intervene, holding the rocks open with one hand and pushing the boat through with the other.
I was pleased that the bird survived.
Yes, the bird did survive.
Yeah, just kind of lost a couple tail feathers.
It's just barely nicked.
Similar to the... I wonder if that song from the Blues Brothers was inspired by this story.
What song from the Blues Brothers?
Shake a Tail Feather.
I highly doubt it. I also don't think that was a Blues Brothers original. I think that's...
It was in the movie.
It was in the movie, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yes. Blues Brothers movie.
Yes. But it's not a Blues Brothers song.
Is it the only?
What?
No, it's certainly the best dance number in the Blues Brothers movie.
I don't know.
The one there's kind of a dance number in the diner.
Yeah.
When You Better Think.
There's one in the church.
Oh, that's true.
And they dance when they're singing.
It's more of a freestyle.
Everybody Needs Somebody to Love.
Yeah.
That's more of a
performance.
Yeah,
it's not a choreographed dance number.
Yeah, that's true.
This one was all out.
Yes. So kind of comes out of nowhere. Great movie, by the way, for our listener out there. Watch The Blues Brothers. That's an amazing movie.
If the listener
amazing
has not
music too.
Watched it, we're going to block the listener.
That's not what we're going to do. That's nope. That's an empty threat. Don't take that seriously.
I don't know how we do that anyway.
Yeah, I don't think we can.
We deny you our wisdom.
Yes. And so the Argo then safely passed through the rocks, with its stern only barely being clipped by the rocks, just like the dove.
Yes.
The dove had its tail feathers nicked, and so did the Argo.
I wonder if it's an inspiration to the Prince song, When Doves Cry.
It's just a dove.
Oh. It's not one of the seminal characters in the story?
No, I don't think so. So pushing on towards Colchis, the Argonauts were tormented by the screams of the Titan Prometheus, who was punished by Zeus to be chained to a rock and have his liver eaten by an eagle every day as punishment for giving humans fire. However, the screams died away into the distance, and the crew finally came to Colchis.
Do you think it would be easier just to take the fire away?
You would think so.
But I guess he's more of a cruel person.
Yeah.
Or entity.
Yeah. The story of Prometheus is actually very interesting. It's not really gone into much here. Well, he's a Titan, and most of the Titans are kind of evil for the most part. You know, the most famous is Kronos.
Who's they predate the gods, like Zeus and those guys, right? But are they their parents or grandparents?
A lot of them are parents. Some of them are spouses. Some of them, they're all kind of mixed in. But yeah, it's interesting because Prometheus is like really very helpful to humanity. He really, you know, when they're first created, he kind of takes pity on them. It's like, well, here's the thing that's going to let you survive and thrive. And Zeus is like, hold on, that might make them like almost more powerful than us.
Right.
And so then he punishes Prometheus in this really awful way. He has his liver eaten every single day, and it grows back and it's eaten again the next day. It's terrible.
Yes.
But yeah, good times with Prometheus.
It's unfortunate that it reoccurs every day, but but he has the memory. It's not like it's not like Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
With Bill Murray, one of the best movies ever made, where he just relives. Well, it is like Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Because he does relive it.
He remembers it, but nobody else does.
Yes.
Yes.
It's very much like that.
Yes.
I wonder if that was inspired.
Yeah. Groundhog Day was inspired by the legend of Prometheus.
It could be. It's a very philosophical movie.
It is, actually.
About character and about improving yourself and what... it's a really good life lesson movie.
It is.
It's a morality tale, and it's only when he stops seeking out just carnal desires or quick fixes and selfish activities. Only when he improves himself and applies himself to the world for nothing other than to do the right thing and do the good thing does he break the spell.
Yeah. Well, at first it doesn't work because he's like doing the good things thinking that it would get him out.
Correct.
But it's only when he just does the good things for the sake of doing the good things that he gets out. It's not an attempt to get out. Yeah.
True. But it's beyond that, because he was also taking piano lessons. You know, he was improving himself. He was reading all sorts of things. And then he was becoming their friends. You know, every day he would befriend them anew. Because at the very end, everybody knows him. He's like everybody's best friend instantly, and they're trying to figure out what the heck just happened here. This guy that was a jerk yesterday.
Yeah.
But for him, what's the guy's name that co-wrote it and directed it? Harold Ramis. Also co-wrote Animal House, which is a different sort of morality tale. But
I've never seen it.
But they've asked him. You know, I've read some interviews where how long was he in this state, and whether the groundhog was Jesus and all this kind of stuff. But they said it was like supposed to be like 10,000 years or 10,000 lifetimes, and for him to finally earn his life back and that kind of stuff.
Wow, that's a long time.
It would be.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a whole series of attempted suicides, because it would have to take him a long time to get to the point where he's just trying to figure out a way to kill himself just to end it. Because first he's just a glutton, he's just trying to satisfy his carnal desires, and he goes through that, and then he gets, but it's abbreviated, so because that'd be a really long movie.
Yeah.
To go through that.
To go through 10,000 lifetimes.
Right. Anyway, but I digress.
No, it's a good movie. Yes, then we finally come to the story of Medea and the Golden Fleece. So they finally arrived at Colchis, where Jason met Medea, who was a sorceress of Hecate and daughter of King Aeetes, and the two quickly fell in love. But hearing of Jason's mission to take the Golden Fleece, King Aeetes gave him two impossible tasks. The first was to sow a field with dragon teeth, using angry oxen who breathed fire. But Jason soon controlled these oxen and quickly planted the teeth, which then turned into fully armed warriors intent on killing Jason. Jason then threw a boulder into their midst, confusing them and making them turn on each other, and he soon killed them all. They were not very good warriors. I don't know why getting a rock thrown at you would make you turn on your own men.
Well, if you're startled. So I think they're just like, it's kind of like orcs in the Lord of the Rings. There was a scene there where one of them bumps into another in the movie. I think it's in the book too.
It is in the books, yeah.
And then it just leads to a mass slaughter where I think like one guy was left standing out of all the orcs. So these two companies of orcs, because they're rival factions. So it's similar to that.
Yes.
That they're just so warlike and they're dumb.
That makes sense.
And so if you startle them, they're just going to lash out. And then once they lash out at each other, then they're just going to fight to the death. And that's what happened. And then Jason's running around. Ooh, gotcha. Stab him.
Yeah.
Finishing off some of them. And
that does make sense. Yes.
Thank you.
And so the second challenge was to actually take the golden fleece from the dragon in the garden. And so Jason and Medea entered the grove at night. But the dragon awoke, fixing its eyes on the two of them. But Medea then cast a sleeping potion under its nose, and they claimed the fleece as the dragon fell asleep, and then fled back to the Argo.
It would have been better if Jason never met Medea and failed at the quest and just went home to his hut.
Because after this, it really takes a turn.
Dark,
this is, very awful.
But she helps him, and hey, we win.
Yes.
Hey, I love you.
Yes. They were.
Be careful of any woman who any way resembles Medea.
Yes. They were accompanied by Medea's little brother Apsyrtus. And so Aeetes pursued them as they were fleeing from the land of Colchis.
At first, it's kind of sweet. Hey, little brother, you can come along.
Yeah, yeah. But Medea, who was madly in love with Jason, killed her brother and chopped him to pieces, throwing them in the water behind him. And when Aeetes saw this, he was overcome with grief, and the Argo was able to escape. So
It's kind of a brilliant plan, but wow.
Really, really awful. Yeah. Yes. And so now we get the story of the journey home, because
Very much like Thanos,
Yeah.
where he killed the gal to get the Soul Stone.
Yes.
I wonder if that was inspired by this.
Not everything is inspired by Jason and the Argonauts. I hate to break it to you.
A lot of things were.
I guess, there's some truth in that. And so on the way back to Iolcus, the Argo passed by the Sirens, who called them to shipwreck on the rocks, but their voices were drowned out by Orpheus's lyre. They then passed...
Who called you a liar? Orpheus playing a lyre.
Yes. He's a famous lyre player.
And, I can imagine, like, if I were to write a story about this, I would have it so that everybody's, like, so mad at Orpheus for playing that stupid lyre every day. They're so fed up. And then finally, it comes to help them all out, and then they're happy that he had his lyre.
Yes. Well, we will see more of Orpheus in the future, actually.
Ooh. Ooh.
But yes, they then passed Crete, where Talos dwelt, who was a guardian made entirely of bronze, except a small patch of flesh on his ankle.
There's always something in there.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that made him vulnerable.
Yes. And as he raised boulders to toss at the ship, Medea summoned dark beings to attack Talos, causing him to trip and cut his ankle and die.
Whoopsie.
Yes. Well, these two scenes are kind of very similar, I think, to the Odyssey and the Iliad, because we see again the Sirens, returning, and then also, the theme of the spot on your ankle being your one weakness.
Was that Achilles?
Yeah, Achilles. Mm-hmm. So then finally coming to Iolcus, Medea disguised herself as a priestess of Artemis, joining the 3 daughters of Pelias, who expressed concern over their father's old age. And Medea then showed them a ritual in which she slit the throat of a ram, placed it in a pot of elixir, stirred the pot 3 times to the left and 3 times to the right, and the ram then emerged as a lamb. So Medea convinced the daughters that this would be possible to do with their father Pelias, and so they came to him, 2 of them holding him down and the other slitting his throat in his sleep. But when he was placed in the pot, it contained nothing but soup, and the throne was now open for Jason. So another really terrible act by Medea.
Those daughters are pretty stupid, though.
Yeah, that is pretty stupid.
This we knew him.
Person that just came to our island. We should listen to her.
It's kind of a story of almost greed too. It's like a crime against nature to try to get somebody to renew from their old age. As much as somebody like me would like to be youthful again.
Yes.
Deal with it.
Yeah. However, this murder brought a curse to Iolcus, causing Jason to flee with Medea and their 2 children to Corinth, where Jason then fell in love with Glauce, daughter of King Creon.
That's not a good thing when you're crazy.
Yeah. Jason did not make very smart decisions, gotta say.
Not with the ladies.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it kind of worked out with that first. I guess because 2 of his kids survived.
Yeah, that's true.
2 kids at the first stop.
Yes. So Jason left Medea for Glauce, and upon their wedding, Medea brought gifts. A beautiful robe.
Congratulations!
Yes, she's very happy. She's joyful at this.
Yes.
She gave Glauce a beautiful robe and gave Creon a crown. However, the robe gripped Glauce hard enough for her flesh to boil, and she died attempting to save herself. And Creon's crown gripped his head so tightly that it shattered. So some really terrible ways to go. And so I'm going to read the last section from this as well, because it's really kind of a haunting passage.
Yes.
Medea had now exacted what appeared as the fullest revenge upon Jason, yet her thirst to see his agony was not yet over. Once again defiling the bonds of familial love, she took her own sons and cut their throats from ear to ear. Then she fled, taken to Athens on a dragon-pulled chariot. Jason was left distraught, the great hero whose epic quest for the Golden Fleece had brought him nothing but poisoned love and moldering death. Yeah, this is a brutal story. It starts off almost like kind of happy-go-lucky.
Yes.
We have this great journey. We have this great group of heroes, and man, it goes south.
Yes. Although I guess the other guys were okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, as far as we know. I mean, we'll see more of them in the future.
Oh, very good.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's good stories, though. And I don't know. It seems like he should have just said, I don't need to be king.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting just how much... I don't know which one was written first. I guess the Iliad and the Odyssey were written before this.
Correct.
But it's interesting to see like sort of repeated themes and stuff that we see here. Again, it's another journey with these great heroes, and we see even the same sort of monsters.
Right.
But it's also interesting we see that again in the Aeneid. We don't cover that in this book at all, but that was a later text written in Latin. It was a Roman book covering, I guess, kind of the opposite point of view. The Trojans, what happened to them after the war, following Aeneas and his journeys, and he kind of follows the exact same path that Odysseus did, and that sort of thing. So it's very interesting just to see how much stuff just echoes these stories over and over again, how many times we see these same themes come up.
Right.
And it's fascinating.
We should write a modern version.
We should?
Yeah, the two of us.
I think that's been done.
Mostly you.
Mostly me. What would be the twist? What would be different than the original?
I don't know.
Is it just that Orpheus is annoying?
No, yeah, well,
it's the same story. Just everybody hates Orpheus.
No, we could write it as a comedy.
We could.
Like Blazing Saddles was a spoof of westerns. We could do a spoof of Greek mythology stories.
We could.
Like a bunch of bumbling guys. Well, it could be pretty entertaining.
Yeah, it's possible.
I'm inspired.
You're inspired? We should start working on it.
Tomorrow. It's
when
always
I'm
tomorrow.
Not here, yeah. I'm going back to college after this.
I'm an idea man. I'm not a work man.
Yep. Yeah, I thought this was a great story. I like these Greek myths a lot.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, next time is the 12 Labors of Heracles, which you have fortunately already read.
Mm-hmm. I'll forget about that though, so I'll have to reread it.
Yes. But yeah, that'll be a good episode, I hope. Yeah. Any other thoughts?
Well, hopefully the next episode we'll only have to do once.
Yes. Which will be, unfortunately, back on Zoom. This is the last one we'll be doing in person for a while.
Yeah, going back to school.
Yeah. Yep.
Going back to the post-COVID college experience, but they still have not figured out we're post-COVID.
Yes. Going back to beautiful Kirksville.
It's a cute town.
It is.
You act like it's some sort of dungeon or something. It's a cute little town. I think it'll be better in the spring. Everything's gonna be better in the spring when it thaws out, and you've made a bunch of friends, and you'll have a lot of activities. I think
K Vegas, as they call it.
What is it?
K Vegas.
I've never heard this.
People call it K Vegas. Well, there's just so much to do. It's so exciting. K Vegas.
They should have a casino up there.
Yeah, that'd be a hit.
There'd be nothing else to do.
That's true.
You can make thousands.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
It's the only casino in the nation would lose money.
Yeah.
None of the farmers would go. I'm not going to gamble my money away.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it for this episode. I've been Adam Bishop.
I'm still Mark Bishop.
You can of course follow us on Twitter at ULMTD Opinions.
Do we have any negative comments?
We have not yet. Oh. No. So, of course, we still do have the T-shirt competition ongoing. Yes. The first person to give us some sort of disparaging comment or derogatory remark will win a free T-shirt.
Right.
And then
previous winners are disqualified.
Yes, but the previous winners are disqualified. So, unfortunately, our previous winner cannot.
So, our one listener cannot win a second.
We had more than one listener.
Did he ever get it, by the way?
It arrived in his country a couple days ago, so it should be coming soon.
The United States Postal Service on fire.
Very slow.
Was it been a month?
It's been pretty close. It was before Christmas.
Yeah, it's a couple weeks before Christmas.
Yeah.
So it's
it stayed in like Chicago for like weeks because the last I heard from it was it left Chicago on the 24th and then it stayed like that until like a couple days ago. So I guess it just took forever to get it.
Maybe they sent it by ship.
They could have. I guess they could have. I like to think that there's one huge like cargo ship and the only thing that's in it is our one T-shirt. That was it.
In an envelope.
Yeah.
That would be something the United States Postal Service would do.
Well, they're very efficient.
Yeah, oh gosh, God love them.
Yeah. That was it for this episode
Yep.
of Unlimited Opinions.